Good afternoon. My name is Ellen Benzine. I'm an account manager with SwipeClock, and I will be conducting the Ask Me Anything hour this afternoon. We still have folks logging in. We're going to give them another minute or two, and we'll start shortly thereafter. So give us just a minute and we'll be back. Thank you. All right. It's a minute or two after the top of the hour, so let's go ahead and get started. As I mentioned, my name is Ellen Benzine. I'm an account manager with SwipeClock. And with me today is Brandon Peterson, also an account manager, as is Carol Kennedy. You get a visual of what we all look like. You'll also see on this slide, there is a link to our technical support group, which I just want to highlight. That is a live link that may be in the chat, but do know that you will be getting this slide deck via an email after the webinar is over. So you'll have the ability to bookmark that link if you'd like. And then you can always access our technical support group by clicking on the white question mark in the upper right-hand corner of your ApplicantStack screen. And then from the drop down, you choose Ask a Question. Today's Ask Me Anything hour is on attracting qualified candidates. And obviously that is a goal of every recruiter, every talent acquisition professional. And the question becomes is how can I attract qualified candidates, kind of expand that net? So we're going to talk about that. It's especially critical in a tight labor market and a competitive environment. We know attracting candidates can be challenging. So we're going to discuss today a handful of ways for you to attract talent using ApplicantStack as your applicant tracking software. We're going to talk about capturing referrals. And so what I mean by that is capturing employee referrals, employees who are suggesting that HR professionals review an individual that they submit for consideration. We're going to discuss syncing up your ApplicantStack account with LinkedIn, and that is to maximize the value of launching your jobs from ApplicantStack to LinkedIn. And then we're just going to talk about some tips and tricks of how to create a positive impression for candidates so that they feel like they can align with your organization and apply for opportunities.
Hey, Ellen.
Yes.
I am not able to see the slides you're presenting.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
Okay. Yep. Wow.
Actually, I see your speaker notes, so switch to your other screen.
I don't know how to do that, Carrie.
Let's see, there is the sharing button on your screen on the tab on the left-hand side near the top.
Yes.
And it should give you an option to switch your screen.
Show screen?
Yeah, and then it should give you an option to change that screen.
Okay. Gosh, technology.
There we go. Now we got you. Or at least that'll work.
That'll work. Yep. All right.
Yep.
So for those of you on the phone, I am just going to backtrack a little bit, but you heard my words. All right. There's Brandon, Carol, and myself. There's the link to our technical support group. And again, you can bookmark that when you get this slide deck in an email as follow-up. What I was talking about a little bit earlier is what you see on this screen. The topic of this webinar is attracting qualified candidates, again, through capturing referrals, syncing up your ApplicantStack account with LinkedIn, and some tips and tricks on making a good first impression for your candidates. We do have a blog that can be accessed from your ApplicantStack homepage under the announcement section. And you'll see here on my screen 2 articles from that blog. They're on recruiting trends to expect in 2024. Finally, after the demonstration, we'll open it up to questions and answers. And we're happy to answer any questions that have to do with ApplicantStack, Recruit, or onboarding. If you could make your questions general enough that they could benefit all others on this presentation, that would be great. If you've got one-off questions, please go ahead and submit a technical support ticket. All right, let's get started. So 2024 hiring outlook is really positive. As you can see there on the screen, 60% of businesses expect to add full-time positions in the first half of the year. And another 39% of businesses expect to hire for vacant positions. So what this is telling us is that there is a booming market and there is going to be a lot of competition, most likely, for qualified candidates. How do you get to those qualified candidates is the focus for today's Ask Me Anything hour. And the first thing that I just want to discuss, and it's the third bullet point here, is 90% of employers report that employee referrals are the most reliable source to generate quality candidates. And you know that makes sense, obviously. A current employee who refers an individual is going to refer an individual who's got a good skill set and a good work ethic, most likely. And as a recruiter, I would go to employee referrals first before I evaluated any other candidate. So if you don't have an employee referral program, you might consider creating one. And I will show you during the demonstration how ApplicantStack can help you track those referrals that your employees submit in a variety of different ways. You can report out on that information. And then again, typically part of an employee referral program is you provide that employee with some sort of bonus if you hire that individual. So I'll show you how to capture referrals in a bit. The next thing I want to talk about is ensuring that your ApplicantStack account is synced properly with LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is a professional networking site, and you can launch your ApplicantStack jobs to LinkedIn's organic free feed, which is entitled LinkedIn Limited Postings. You can also launch your jobs created in ApplicantStack to your company LinkedIn page. So again, the goal to ensure that ApplicantStack is linked into or synced up with LinkedIn to maximize candidates is critical in this sort of market, especially with what we just saw with hiring trends and how strong competition may be. What I'd like to talk about now is just some tips and tricks on creating a good first impression. There are some statistics that show that a first impression when a candidate evaluates a company is critical. It's critical to make sure from the candidate's perspective that that candidate is aligned with the company. It also means that retention is key if a candidate creates, or excuse me, if a company creates a positive first impression for a candidate. Companies stay longer and retention is higher. So I would suggest that all of you evaluate your website presence and your social media accounts. Is your website current? Is your branding current on your website? Is it easy to navigate? Is your website linked to your ApplicantStack job board? So when a candidate clicks on job opportunities or um, current openings, they get redirected to your ApplicantStack job board where they can apply for a variety of jobs. So evaluate your website, evaluate your social media accounts, make sure they're current. The other thing is, do you need to improve or automate your hiring process? So it's the beginning of the year, we're still in January, barely, but we're still in January. So maybe it's a good time to look at your hiring process, the stages of your recruit flow. Are you communicating with your candidates throughout the process? Because one of the things that we have read is that constant communication with a candidate is key in order to keep your candidates engaged. Do you email your candidates? Do you have texting? Again, do you have those processes in place to create a bond with your candidates so that as you go through the recruiting process, the candidate and the employer bond has been created. The final thing that I want to discuss is job descriptions. And as a recruiter, I would always just copy and paste the job description, the boilerplate information, which is great. But that information should now include a variety of information on your job. Maybe you want to include company culture. I would absolutely include any benefits that might differentiate your company from your competitors. And I would include the job career path. What's the growth within the job? And there's this new term, at least it's new to me, it's called upskilling. So maybe you want to include what the growth path is in your job description and any sort of upskilling potential. And upskilling is defined as educating or training your employees on additional skills that will obviously improve their growth and again, retain your current employee base. And then finally, you've probably defined the role in the job description, but maybe you want to add information about the team and team dynamics. That could be very appealing for a candidate. So again, just some tips and tricks on how to differentiate your company and your organization from your competitors and others in what appears to be what will be a very competitive job market, at least in the beginning of 2024. All right, what you see now on your screen are upcoming Ask Me Anything hours and QR codes in order to register. And we also have an ApplicantStack Recruit webinar scheduled for February 13th. So again, you can scan the QR codes to register. Carrie Snowden, who's part of our marketing team, is also on this call, and he is going to put links to these webinars and Ask Me Anything hours in the chat. The other thing is you always have access to register for these series and product webinars via the announcement section from your ApplicantStack homepage. The last thing that I would ask you to help us with is to take a 2-minute survey. Again, feel free to scan the QR code here. It's our hiring survey. And since hiring is always evolving, we'd love to hear some of your insight on what your thoughts are in regard to your hiring practices and goals going into 2024. And again, you all will get this slide deck. So I'm going to leave it here for a minute so you can scan that QR code. Again, the links will be in the chat. All right, what I'd like to do now is demonstrate some of these features we just discussed. So what you should be seeing is my ApplicantStack demo. It's my recruit homepage. And the first thing that we discussed was capturing referrals, and that's what I'd like to talk about now. I am signed in as an ApplicantStack administrator, and in order to capture referrals, let me show you the first means of doing so. Any administrator can click on the Head and Shoulders icon or their picture in the upper right-hand corner, which is where I am now. And from the drop-down, click Setup. And I'm going to navigate to the blue menu on the right. On my other right, that would be the blue menu on the left. And I'm going to click on job boards. And what we're discussing is capturing referrals. So I'm going to click on edit settings from my public job board. And these are the settings and the modifications you can make to your job board. The one of interest for this afternoon is allow referrals. And you can see it's toggled on to yes. And by default, I think all accounts are toggled to yes to allow referrals. But what that means is this link then becomes live. So you can copy and paste this link anywhere you want. If you have an intranet, you can paste it to your intranet, some sort of distribution list, an email distribution list for your employees. So this link can really be pasted anywhere that you want to distribute it. So if I click on the link, this is a means of having your current employees submit an employee referral. So if I'm pretending like I'm a current employee, I want to submit somebody who I worked with at a past job. Her name is Susie Kelly. I'm going to input just a fake email address. And you can see other information that I can provide. I could upload a resume, and then the current employee would put their name here, referred by, and we'll just say, I'm impersonating Liz Green. She's a current employee. Liz is submitting Susie for consideration for the account manager opportunity. And when I submit this information, you'll see that the submission was successful. And if I go to my Candidates tab, you'll see that Susie Kelly was submitted for the accounting manager opportunity. The source is an employee referral, and the individual who referred Susie was Liz Green. You can, again, report out on this referred by field. And again, if you hire an individual, in this case, Susie, that Liz submitted, Liz could get a referral bonus 60 or 90 days down the road. I had already done a little bit of preparation for this webinar. You'll see that Chris Riley is also an employee referral, and Stella Lair responded Chris, referred Chris. And if I click on Chris's record, again, this information is tracked here, and you'll be able to track your employee referrals. When you go to your candidate table, it's very apparent that you have referrals. And again, as a recruiter, I would always go to a referral first. The final way you could track referrals is by simply creating a questionnaire. It could be part of your employment application if you wanted to modify your employment application, or it could be a whole separate questionnaire. Again, using a questionnaire to track referrals is, you can report on it as well. So again, 3 means to track referrals, one of which is to provide the URL to your employees in some fashion through distribution or on an internet. Include an employee referral question in your initial application process, or include it in a questionnaire. In the initial application process, and I'm backtracking here just a little bit, this is the candidate experience. The individual would apply for an opportunity. And again, you can modify your account to track information such as this. Okay, so that wraps up the employee referral function. The other function to attract candidates, and I want to make sure your account is configured properly, is to sync up ApplicantStack with LinkedIn. So again, as an ApplicantStack administrator, I can click on my picture in the upper right-hand corner and then Setup. And again, I'm navigating to the blue menu on the left, and we're talking about job boards. So these are all the job boards where we offer an integration, and we're going to talk about LinkedIn limited postings as well as your social media site being your corporate LinkedIn page. So ideally, if you click on Edit Settings here, associated with LinkedIn limited postings under the Actions column, these three fields need to be populated. You need to please put in your company ID, and that's the company ID associated with your company LinkedIn page. And you can access information as to how to find that number. If you have difficulty finding that number, please submit a technical support ticket, and somebody in technical support can help you find that number. But please make sure you have this number, make sure your status is active, make sure your source value is LinkedIn. So LinkedIn limited postings is LinkedIn's organic free feed, and you as employers can launch jobs to the free feed, and employees or candidates can search that feed for appropriate jobs. Social media sites include your corporate LinkedIn page. So if I click over to Edit Settings, under the Actions column, once again, simply make sure that the status is active here. Make sure you've got a source value being LinkedIn, because it's always nice to track where your candidates are seeing your jobs. And then you can include a header image or a post image to make your jobs a little bit branded on LinkedIn's site. So again, make sure that both of those options are synced properly. And again, if you need any help with that, please submit a technical support ticket. All right, so that wraps up the function feature portion of this Ask Me Anything hour. But I do want to draw your attention to the announcement panel here in the upper left-hand corner. Many of you probably registered for this webinar through the link here. We do have that recruit webinar on February 13th, followed by onboarding on March 19th. And then finally, we have an individual in our marketing group, and she writes excellent blogs. There's a lot of information here. You can see quite a bit of blogs that Ali has written, and it might help you with your 2024 hiring goals. So you have access to that information as well. And again, finally, in order to submit a ticket, you can click on the white question mark in the upper right-hand corner, and from the drop-down, ask a question. Input the information. It'll be directed to the ApplicantStack support team and routed, and then a response will come directly to you. All right. That's everything for now. Do we have any questions yet? Or if you do have questions, feel free to go ahead and input them in the question box. And your questions can be on anything ApplicantStack, Recruit, and onboarding.
I do have one question that's come in, Ellen.
Okay.
Does ApplicantStack have a field for applicants that they can send their pre-employment files, such as valid IDs?
Okay. So that could be in Recruit, and it sounds like Carol requesting maybe license or certifications, something like that?
Something like that. Photo ID, certification, writing sample. I'm thinking the questions tab, or we could go into onboard and talk about onboard as well.
Okay. Or request that information at the get-go from a job. Okay. Let's talk about all sorts of different options. I navigated to my jobs tab, and I have a job here, and I think this is the job I want to show for an English teacher. And let's see, I did. Okay. So what you can do during the initial application process is you can request information. So in this case, I'm requesting a lesson plan because this opportunity is for an English teacher. I'm requesting a writing sample, and I'm requesting a certification. So you can request, I think it's up to 5 documents. during the initial application process, so you could evaluate that information if you wanted to. The other way you could capture or request that information is through a questionnaire, and I'm moving to the library tab up top. Questionnaire from the blue menu on the left. And if I create a new questionnaire, and I've moved to the gray menu on the right, you have the ability to request a file. So when you create a questionnaire, if the answer type is designated as a file, your candidate will see that questionnaire and be able to upload requested information. So again, it could be a writing sample, a certification, it could be a picture of their license. And really, it's probably personal preference as to whether or not you want to create a questionnaire or ask for that information during the initial application process. Were those options what you were thinking, Carol?
I think so, yeah. I'm thinking there may be an option to do it via questionnaire, but that's probably the best way to do it, as long as we don't run into any challenges asking for PII and Indeed. Right. One concern.
Right. Yep.
At Onboard, if you wanted to talk about how to request that in Onboard, we have a few options as well. So it's really going to depend on which systems you have access to and what part of your process you'd like to do that or accomplish that in.
So again, as Carol said, you can request information in onboarding as well. That can include a form that's requesting a certification or a copy of your license. Let's go to questionnaires. So this is an example of how you might request a hire in onboarding to upload, in this case, social security card, picture of their license or passport. So it would look a little prettier when the candidate sees this in their onboarding portal. And this is just a very simple explanation, but you can request a hire in onboarding to choose a file, which would be their social security card or license or passport in this example.
Fantastic, thank you, Ellen. Next question, where can I find the date a job description closes?
Okay, let's go back to Recruit. And for those of you who don't have onboarding, we do offer two products. They're integrated. We offer Recruit, which is the process of launching a job, evaluating candidates, moving those candidates through your recruit stages, ultimately until an individual is hired. And then onboarding kicks in, and onboarding is the electronic assignment of new hire paperwork, like I-9, federal W-4, state W-4, and any sort of forms that you want your new hires to complete that might be unique to your organization. So what I'm doing is I'm toggling between the two systems, and I'm going to go back to Recruit, and I'm going to go to the Jobs tab up top from my ApplicantStack homepage. I'm going to click on the Account Manager opportunity, and from the gray menu on the right, Edit Job, and there is a field. Oh gosh, Carol, help me with this. There is a field that can be configured. Here's the campaign start date, but there is a job field that can be configured to automatically bring the job down. Is that correct, Carol?
I believe so. If you go into a job and edit a job, I forget if there was a property that had to be turned on in the background to do that. I would automatically pull it down at the designated. I will hop in and try to find that. If we want to go to the next question, I'll work in the background. Seeing if I can find that.
See, this is a team effort here. Yes.
Yep. Actually, or Brandon, if you want to take a quick peek and see if you can find that as well, that will be helpful. Next question, can I add a referral that has already happened by editing the record?
Yes, that you can do. So if I go to the Candidates tab, and let's just click on...
yeah, Carol, I can look for that if you want to keep helping with the questions.
Fantastic. Thank you, Brandon.
Okay, so you can click on anybody you'd like in here, and you have the ability to edit the record. If a candidate said, oh yeah, I saw your job ad on LinkedIn, but it was really a referral, you can edit the candidate record and you can change that. Okay, is there another question?
Okay, there is. Looks like it's maybe a follow-up to prior question. Okay, going back to the question about uploading valid IDs or pre-employment files. Question is, we should be able to see the uploaded files in the applicant's profile, correct? Also, can you please demonstrate how can I make a test applicant? So it's a two-part question.
Okay.
Where do the files go once they're uploaded, and a test application?
Okay. So once a file is uploaded, you will see in the attachment section here. Let me see something. I'm going to go to that English teacher job. Let's just see my candidate here. And this is a test candidate, by the way. So these don't necessarily make sense, but these were documents that have been uploaded. So you'd see them under the attachment section of the candidate profile. So I think that answers the first part to that question, Carol.
So just so I'm clear, so the question earlier that I was researching is how if we can set an automatic close date for the job, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so that is on the edit job page.
Yep, I was going to say the same.
Yeah, we were right there when we were talking about it, but we just didn't scroll down far enough. So there you can actually specify a date and time when the job will automatically close. A little further.
A little further. I mean,
there it is. Closing date and time.
Yep, here it is. You know, I knew we had it somewhere, but boy, when you're put on the spot like this, it's like, oh my gosh, I know it's there.
Yeah,
Thank you, Brandon. Yep, I should scroll down a little bit more. All right. And then we were in the middle of showing where attachments fall when a candidate provides those attachments.
Yes.
All right, so back to this candidate, and you'll see the attachment section there, and that's where you'll see additional requests.
Okay, yeah, thank you. And the second part of that question was, can you demonstrate how I can make a test applicant?
Yeah, absolutely. And that is a great question, because you do want to test your stages and your hiring process, especially since we were just talking about improving and automating your processes to make sure that your 2024 hiring goals are achieved. So what you would do, I'm on my ApplicantStack homepage. I'm going to move to the Candidates tab up top. And the first option from the gray menu on the right is Create a Candidate. So what I would suggest doing is inputting, we see them all. We see Patty Petunia, we see Mickey Mouse, we see Testy Test. So what you can do is input information on your test candidate. You will have to input any field that's required, which is designated by the red asterisk. And then once you create this candidate and you save, then that information will create the candidate record, and you can move yourself through the stages of your recruit flow, and you can experience what a candidate would experience. All right, you think I answered that one, Carol?
I believe we did.
Okay.
Coming down. If we could please review adding the referral link instead of a referral question.
Okay. So the referral link, an ApplicantStack administrator has access to the referral link. I'm clicking on my picture in the upper right-hand corner. I am an administrator. From the drop-down, click Setup, navigate to the blue menu on the left, and we're talking about job boards. And specifically, we're talking about the public job board and those settings. So I'm going to click on Edit Settings under the Actions column. And again, this is what your job board looks like. Be sure to turn Allow Referrals to Yes, toggle it to Yes. And here's that link that you can then paste anywhere that you want to. Again, typically it would be on an intranet or some sort of employee distribution list. Once an employee fills out that template, and I can click on that again, then the individual has a candidate record in ApplicantStack.
Thank you, Ellen. Just to be sure, we got the question about adding referral by editing the record after the fact, correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Hi, fantastic. Okay, Brandon, this may be a question specific to your account.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, do you want to take that one?
Sure. The question is, each morning I send a report to pre-intent of those who have not finished their applications, called the lead management report. Several times people move forward with the prompting from pre-intent. Do I have to add them manually to AppStack, or is there a way to retrieve them? The short answer is I don't know. I don't support pre-intent. We don't support pre-intent. That's a third-party integration. So if you have a pre-intent representative, they would be the ones to contact to get that information.
Okay, thank you, Brandon, for taking that. I'm just reviewing to make sure we have covered everything. Another question would be around applicant flow, and if things start to slow down a little bit, maybe what are some ideas for what we can do to improve applicant flow? So is there a way to give our jobs more visibility, posting to additional sites, things of that nature?
Okay. So we obviously talked about employee referrals and implementing a program if you don't have an employee referral program now. We talked about ensuring that your ApplicantStack account is linked to LinkedIn properly. So I'm going to go to my picture. I'm going to click on Setup, and let's talk about job boards. So these are the job boards where we offer integrations. So your public job board is your job board that should be linked to your website, so candidates can access your job board and apply for jobs if they're visiting your website. Your internal job board is like an intranet. And then these are third-party job boards where we offer integrations. So anything that is active, and that includes Google for Jobs, Indeed postings, and LinkedIn limited postings, are free sites. So I would very much suggest that you just automatically post your jobs to your company website, your company job board, your public job board, Google for Jobs, Indeed, and LinkedIn limited postings. We do offer integrations with Career Builder, Dice, Monster, and ZipRecruiter. Those are paid sites. So you would have to pay, you would have to access those sites, pay for the ability to post a job there, but you can launch your ApplicantStack jobs to any of those paid sites. We also offer Job Target integration, and Job Target is a job board aggregator. So through Job Board, you can launch your jobs to over 20,000 sites. And what you can do is there's an excellent Help Center article on Job Target and how to launch your jobs ultimately to other third-party sites. But again, using Job Target as kind of that middleman. And then we did discuss social media sites. You can launch your jobs to your corporate LinkedIn page, as discussed earlier, and you can launch your jobs, or we can tweet your jobs for you. There is an option within ApplicantStack to sponsor your jobs on Indeed, which creates higher visibility. Sponsoring means that you pay to post. So if I go to a job and I go to the account manager job and I move from the summary page to the launch tab, well, there we go. Okay. You have the option to sponsor your job as well. So you have the ability through ApplicantStack to not only launch your job to Indeed's organic free feed, but to create higher visibility for your job. You can sponsor your job. You can input what your budget will be. There are some analytics that Indeed will provide for you. And unfortunately, I can't show this because this isn't a paid site. But again, you can go to the Help Center, read about it, and if you need assistance, submit a technical support ticket. The final thing I want to mention in order to attract more candidates or increase your candidate flow is manual posting links. And a manual posting link is automatically created by ApplicantStack for every job. Actually, links, I should say. So if you want to post on an association website or a college website, an alumni website, a technical support school, we don't offer those integrations. But what you can do is you can copy and paste one of these links and include it in your job description that you would have to manually post on those niche sites. And what that means is that a candidate can click on the link that you've included in your job description and come right into ApplicantStack to apply. So the beauty of that is, regardless of where your candidates see your jobs, if it's Indeed, if it's Google for Jobs, or if it's on a niche site that includes a link, you can manage all of those candidates from within ApplicantStack. Now, the caveat to manual posting links is you've got to make sure that whatever niche site you're including the link in the job description, that they'll actually allow live links. So those are a means of increasing your candidate flow. Brandon or Carol, can you think of anything else I didn't mention?
No, I think you touched on it, Ellen, and during the beginning you talked about making your job descriptions compelling and what's in it for the candidate. So in addition to posting your jobs out to different sites and kind of using those two things together, that's super helpful.
Yeah, and you know, as a recruiter, I let my job descriptions get old. So again, I would highly suggest that you review your job descriptions and include things that we had mentioned and that Carol just mentioned, company culture and what the growth is and what upskilling opportunities there are. Make sure your job descriptions are fresh.
Alrighty, I do see a question that came in. Evelyn, I see that Brandon put a response in there. Just want to make sure that you're able to see that, or Brandon, do we need to address that question?
No, I think that question's better handled offline.
Okay. Okay, sounds good. Evelyn, we'll if you can't see the answer, we'll get back in touch. But Brandon did type in a quick answer for you. Okay, we got a thumbs up on that.
I like a thumbs up.
Okay. I think we have answered all the questions that we've gotten.
Excellent.
A few more seconds.
Yep, and then just as a reminder, there should be links in the chat to future Ask Me Anything hours, future product webinars, and that quick 2-minute hiring survey, which we would love to hear from you all. Again, you'll get the PowerPoint presentation as a follow-up, But if you could provide that survey information, that would really help us and could very well help with our ApplicantStack roadmap going into the future. And again, just to highlight the announcement section, there's some great information in that ApplicantStack blog that might be of interest to you all as well. All right. Any more questions, Carol?
I think we're in good shape. So
All right.
thanks everyone for joining. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we look forward to seeing you in the future.
Absolutely. Thanks, Brandon, Carol, and Carrie. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.